For me, the biggest thing that this has provided us is so much freedom. We have spent a lot of this year traveling and visiting family. My mom actually lives in Ireland. So we've spent over a month traveling and visiting family. And this is basically just like funding all of our travels. It's putting money in our pocket. We can do this from anywhere.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Side Hustle Hero, the show that is laser focused on inspiring you to take action to start or to scale your side hustle income streams. I'm your host, Joan Possivy. What if one of the simplest, most low-tech marketing tools out there could become your next side hustle? Today, I'm joined by Rachel Smith and Dalton Joyner, founders of Big Sky Automation. They help local businesses with brand reputation, Google reviews, and digital marketing. But more recently, they've added a surprisingly effective analog option that could be your next side hustle: community postcards. A direct mail strategy that's the focus of today's episode. They sell ad space, sometimes going door to door, on large physical postcards, getting them designed, printed, and mail dropped. And what really caught my attention is they don't really need to spend any money up front. You only move ahead with printing and mailing after all your advertisers have already paid you. In this conversation, you'll hear how the model works, why business owners say yes, the exact pitch that they use to land those $150 advertisers, what you can realistically earn per mailing, how to keep your own risk close to zero, and how this simple postcard project can become the doorway to much larger client spends. To explore a way to add extra income without taking on a bunch of financial risk, here's my conversation with the direct mail postcard pros and husband and wife team, Rachel Smith and Dalton Joyner. Well, Rachel, Dalton, welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
I can't believe that in this age of AI and all things digital, that I'm doing an interview about direct mail advertising. But in preparing for today, I did some digging and I came across the United States Postal Service household diary survey and discovered that 72% of Gen Z read mail daily. And that's higher than all older cohorts except seniors. And that they're the most likely group to take action from a mail piece, like visiting a website or going to a store. And this last finding I found intriguing, but upon reflection, understandable. And that is that Gen Z feels mail is, quote, less intrusive and more authentic than digital ads. And given the increasing prevalence of AI deepfakes, I can see that becoming even more so. Have you been surprised by the willingness of companies to place ads on your postcards with such an old school method, or maybe a version of what I just said as part of your sales pitch?
It's funny that you bring up like the Gen Z tidbit there, because it's true. And we've seen that as well. It's almost like they've grown up with all this technology that when they get a fun postcard or a fun piece of mail, it's just like new to them.
Yeah.
And they're intrigued. I think that's pretty interesting as well. So it just like everything, it repeats itself. It's coming back. Yeah. I don't think that direct mail ever went away. I just think that it kind of ebbs and flows with generations. And right now it's really popping with Gen Z.
Yeah, it's actually really easy to stick out in the mail because on average in the US, each homeowner only gets 2 pieces of mail per day. So imagine you get your postcard and then it's a giant one. It sticks out bigger than any piece of mail that you're going to get. Especially you don't want to see a bill, but you see this colorful postcard sticking out and you're not fighting for attention. It's pretty free real estate when you're in the mailbox.
Yeah, right. How long have you been doing this?
So we have been an agency now for just over a year, and we installed the direct mail piece about 6 months ago.
What prompted that?
I just think that we were looking for something a little bit more appealing to these business owners. Not everybody's looking to run Google ads and Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Those are also quite expensive. So the way that we do the postcards, we can get into this a little bit throughout the interview, but it's actually extremely affordable for the participating businesses. So we just thought that it would be a fantastic way for people to get massive exposure at a low cost.
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen those in a very long time, that postcard style marketing. Was it prevalent in Montana, or was that something that you thought was missing? I mean, there's the paper flyers that we still all get.
Yeah, we kind of have something similar where we live, actually. It's like, it is a flyer, kind of like you were saying, with multiple ads. But actually where we target is about 40 minutes north of us in Missoula. And there's nothing like it. So we were like, how do we differ ourselves from the person doing it in our area? and also do it in a different, larger area. And so we thought that the postcards was a really nice way. Like, it's a really thick cardstock. They're huge.
I was going to ask you to describe them and how you make money off them. So go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 6.5 by 12 inches. So it's large, it's bigger than my head. So when you get it in the mailbox, it really stands out. It's bright, colorful, lots of fun offers on there. There might be a coffee offer. You could go grab a coffee on your way to work. And then, of course, there's like HVAC, landscaping, anything that kind of fits in, and anybody who wants to participate.
Okay.
So we allow up to 8 businesses on each side. So there's a total of 16. So there's a good chance that it's going to fit somebody that it's landing in the hand of. And it allows for you to, let's say you're an HVAC guy, and that's a timing thing. You're not just going to receive something in the mail and someone's gonna be like, yeah, I'm going to get my HVAC repaired. But there's probably going to be a coffee coupon right next to it. So they're going to hang on to that, or a dentist offer. So if you need to go to the dentist, you're going to slap it up on your fridge, and then everybody sits along there with you. So kind of becomes this community thing that somebody hangs on to.
And how do you make money on this?
So the way that we make money is we charge $150 per spot.
Okay.
And then, so that brings in $2,400. And then our cost to print is around $1,200. So we keep the difference.
Great. So that you can either pocket that or use that to advertise your own business or businesses, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What could someone running this as a side hustle expect to earn?
So you can expect to earn around that $1,000 mark. We discount if businesses want to purchase like a larger space to stand out more. So it just incentivizes them to purchase more spots, and that means the less that we have to sell.
Sure.
So if that's the case, we've seen down to 978 was our lowest profit, so just under $1,000, and we've seen up to about 1,100. So it can vary between those two. That's per postcard. So we run 4 per month.
Oh, okay, because you can be doing them in the various communities around it. Is that what's happening for
Correct.
you?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. And those businesses that are advertising on there, do you have a non-compete thing? If there's a dentist on there, they will be the only dentist?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because, of course, I'm not sure if you're familiar in Canada, but there's something here called Valpak, and that's common across like the entire US, where it's an envelope and there's a bunch of offers in there and you can flip through. There might be 6 plumbers, 2 HVAC guys, a bunch of coffee shops. And yeah, you don't really get that exclusivity.
Interesting. But you guys do offer that then?
We do.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's a really big selling point, that the business owner knows there's not going to be any competition on the card, and that really sells it over well with or the business owner.
Especially then if you say, hey, I can lock you in for the next 3 issues kind of thing. And it's monthly,
Yes.
you said?
It is monthly, yeah. But a great conversation is when they like don't want to hop on there, and you're like, your competitor's going to get on here. Are you sure? You like, use that leverage to see, whoa, crap, I better get on here.
You sure you want me to leave? Yeah. Walk us through how it does work. If I wanted to start this as a side hustle, what would be my first step?
Yeah, so I recommend going and checking out the EDDM website through the United States Postal Service. That stands for Every Door Direct Mail. And what's cool about this model is that you don't have to have a mailing list. You just have to go to EDDM, you select your zip code, and then you can select routes from there. So go familiarize yourself with that tool. And then you are going to gather up to 16 local businesses that want to participate. And then you are going to familiarize with something called Canva or any design platform that you like. We love Canva. It is super user-friendly.
Me too. I'm a big fan. In fact, I said somebody to this morning, that's the one
nice.
subscription. That's my number one. It is so worthwhile. Yeah.
I use it every day. We always have a tab for Canva open. And then you're going to do the designs. So after you collect the information from all the businesses, you're going to do the designs. And we recommend keeping it simple. Make sure that the recipients know exactly what they're getting. So I think a lot of people get scared when you say you have to design advertisements on a postcard. But think simple, and it will be extremely easy to do. And then you're going to want to find a printer that can handle EDDM fulfillment. And that means that they actually bundle the postcards per EDDM requirements. They have to be bundled in like bundles of 100 of the postcards with the proper facing slips and all that stuff so that they get accepted by the post office.
Yeah. And that's a similar thing in Canada, that our Canada Post would have certain restrictions and bundling and all that good stuff. So whatever country you're in, you'll need to check that out and find out the costs too of all that. Because in our case, unless it's changed, I would have to find a separate printer on my own and then bring that into the to the post office, which is totally fine too. It's just a matter of figuring that piece out.
What's really cool is we actually have somebody in our community he's in Ireland and he's doing these postcards and they don't have EDDM. So what he has to do is he has to go hire somebody to hand deliver all the postcards, but he's still collaborating with business owners.
Oh, wow. So, so he's actually hired a delivery person to hand deliver them all.
Yes, it's very cool.
Yeah. He really overcame like the major obstacle. I was like, wow, that's really creative.
So say, for example, you'd mentioned a dentist before, so let's go with that. So give me an idea of a sales pitch. How would you even approach it? And actually, that's probably even back it up a little bit. Do you send something first in the mail? Or are you literally doing cold calling, knocking on the street? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so we're mostly doing emails and believe it or not, Facebook Messenger, because a lot of business owners are watching their own Facebook pages. So if we send an email, we'll follow up through Facebook and vice versa. We also do, if we're going to be up there in town, we'll stop in. We'll bring some postcards, show people. That way they get to meet us, they get to see us, they get to see a postcard in person. So it's a mix of all of that. And then as far as a pitch, we actually keep it extremely simple because, again, everybody believes in direct mail. Everybody knows what it is. I think the biggest selling point, and I'll just tell you my whole script here. I say, hey, I'm Rachel with Big Sky Automation Services. We're putting together a postcard going to 2,500 homes in Miller Creek. Spots are only $150. Would you be interested? And just by saying that the spots are $150, that gets a really good response rate because these business owners know what direct mail costs. If they were to do this on their own, it would be easily $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. So when you say $150, it's intriguing enough for them to want to respond and figure out if it's a scam or not.
Right. Are you members of it would be a Board of Trade, Better Business Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, something like that? They could check you out. Yeah,
absolutely.
And since you've been doing it for 6 months, you said now?
Yes.
So you do have some clients out there that they could always be referred to.
Yeah,
right?
we've got
that testimonial.
Completed 15 cards in our 6 months, so we can always show them examples and really let them hold the card and see what it feels like.
When I was in full-time as a banker, I bought a delicatessen as a turnaround project. It was essentially going out of business and ran it as a side hustle until I could build it up to quit my full-time job. And I was astounded at times that some potential vendors that wanted my business, they would show up at noon, and that was my busiest time. So in addition to selling like meats and cheeses, we also had a huge, very robust lunch business. And they would show up at noon thinking that they could talk to me. And I'm like, seriously, do you have any idea what's happening in this business right now? So I was wondering if you could give us some tips for pitching a small business owner, maybe best practices, do's and don'ts. You mentioned that your first point of contact is usually email and then maybe messenger. Yeah. Any tips in that regard?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like dropping in on a small business owner sometimes isn't always the best route to go because they're busy. They're maybe in the middle of lunch rush. Somebody's HVAC system just broke and they got to go fix it. So I think that the less intrusive way of sending an email, sending a Facebook message of what we do, it just gives them a little bit of time to see it. And then you just keep following up if they haven't responded. A lot of times it results in us going up there to meet with them and stop it in person at a time that works for them. But yeah, I do the less intrusive of just sending an email. And
even meeting them at a Chamber of Commerce or a BNI group meeting where you sit in for a guest day or any small networking event. That's where I feel like you're going to make your most progression in terms of bring the cards with you, tell people what you do, say, hey, if there's anything, I can help you with. I also do print as well. Just something in the community that you can really share the value that you could bring to them. And that's what these cards do.
And I appreciated, Rachel, when you shared your pitch, how right away in the first sentence or two, and it's $150. To me as a business owner, that's one of the things that I want to know up front almost. I'd like to see if you're wasting my time or whether that's in the budget and then pitch me. And I'm thinking that If I was in your shoes and I pitched somebody via email, follow up a messenger, still didn't hear from them, but really want their business, I would make a point of going into the community and walking down the street. I just happen to pass by. And if they happen to be in, great. If not, you could at least leave your flyer so that they could see exactly what they're talking about. And I guess you probably found that it's multiple points of contact before they say yes.
They go, hey, Rachel and Dalton stopped in, they left their card, and they're like,
and they're real.
They're real.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I didn't see them in person, but they left their card. They were here. They exist. Yeah. And that helps a lot.
What are some of the most common objections that you hear? Because everybody wouldn't be saying, yes, this is wonderful. Here's my $150.
Yeah. I would say one of the biggest ones is, I have enough work already. What's one that you could think of?
Yeah, a biggest one I hear is, what's the return on these? And we always lead with the expectation that this is actually a form of indirect advertising. So it's like a billboard or a TV ad or a radio ad. And it's just purely for exposure. There's not really a guarantee on because there's no targeting to it. You're just sending to a group of homes in hopes that somebody needs your service now or in the future. So I'd probably say that's the biggest thing. A lot of people say most of these people throw these mailers away, and it's true. Even if 99% of people threw away the mailer, but you get 1% of business that's 25 new customers off of this mailing. So it truly, like, even 1% could benefit someone's business off of $150.
Mm-hmm. And do some of them at times, I think you mentioned that they do include a coupon, like that's their ad?
Yes, we do recommend it. Okay. Even though it's a form of indirect advertising, it still gives the customer, if they need your service, if they want your service at the time that they receive it, it gives them even more incentive to use it.
Again, just as if I was the business owner, that would tell me directly how effective this ad was or not by the number of people that redeemed that.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Where in the process do you actually get the client to pay for the ad?
So as soon as they say they're in, if we're talking with them, they've got their questions, we get everything answered, and they say, yes, I'll take a spot, we invoice them right away. And we actually use that as their placeholder so that we know that they're in, that spot is sold, because it can get a little bit hairy if it's towards the end, you've got everybody verbally committed, and then you don't collect those payments. And people are relying on that mail out date. So you want to make sure they lock in their spot right away. That way their competitor can't come and grab it either. So that's a good question. A lot of people wonder about that.
Yeah, we just heard from our mentor yesterday, and he said that money loves speed. So that's what you have to move forward with in business, because always collect money on the spot as soon as somebody says yes, or else you're going to go through this headache of trying to hunt them down, trying to collect payment, beating doors. That we've had some people where they're like, yeah, I'll pay. We send the invoice. And one person, we had to wait 2 weeks. And we were almost at our deadline for the postcard, and we're like, they just might have to fall off.
Yeah, that's what I would do, is set that deadline. It's, we need payment by this date, or I'm sorry, we can't include you.
Yes, correct.
Because once you print it, it's done. But I'm just thinking, as you describe the whole process here, a person can get quite along in this process without spending any money. There's no upfront costs until you get paid, and then you've got the money now to pay for the printing and the shipping.
Yeah. And I think that's why we really love this one so much, because you're not risking anything but your time.
Well, how many months of Canva does $1,000 cover?
Yeah. How many years, you mean?
I think that's more like it.
Yeah. How much time does it take you to put together one of these mailings from the time you start knocking on doors, whether that's via email or in person, until it's delivered?
It really just depends. So we've actually sold out these cards in 3 days. And I think the longest that it took us was about 2.5 weeks for one. And that's because we weren't spending a whole lot of time. We were working on some other things in our business. So we were just had a card going in the background, but with really focused attention. And by that, maybe 2 hours a day, you could get this full within a week.
So that would be the sales part. And then there's the Canva piece, or whatever you're going to use to design these. And like anything, first time around, it's probably going to take you hours and hours to do. But then you've got that template.
Right.
That makes it easy to switch things up.
Yes. And that's what we do. We keep it simple. We keep it easy and beautiful.
How do you decide what sizes to offer and what to charge?
So we actually we start with a clean slate of all 8 ads are the same size. on each side. So they're about 3 by 3 inches.
Okay.
And then the customer or the business owner can choose to upgrade from there. So if they want 2 squares or 4 squares to stand out from the crowd a little bit.
Interesting. Are they organized around a theme at all, or just anybody that buys an ad whatever time of year?
So we've actually seen people do themes like that. For one instance, somebody in our community actually just did a health and wellness card. So she was working with somebody in her town who had a health and wellness networking group. So it was focused all around that. So you could absolutely make it human health and wellness, pet health and wellness, and just center it around something like that. But we haven't done anything like that ourselves.
Note to self for the future, right?
Yes. Get a little creative with it.
Yeah. How do you help business owners move from, say, one-time postcard ads to building yourself long-term recurring revenue?
Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Pretty much how we always explain it to business owners is, since this is indirect marketing, same thing like a billboard, you get tons of eyes on it. The more eyes on it, the more likely somebody is to convert. So it's the same thing with the mailing. The more times you can get out to a person and touch points, the more and better conversion you're going to have over time, because now it's like you're the first person I'm thinking of when I need my roof fixed or I need my AC unit fixed. So we always set expectations up front and never guarantee ROI, like I said before. And then we always tell them that the more you do this, the more you get out of it. Because as soon as we've seen it time and time again, as soon as somebody hops off, their competitors like, all right, I'm ready to dump some money in this and let's see what I can drum up out of here. And then they start getting calls because they've been on it multiple times. So really setting that expectation is going to get you more reoccurring revenue and also gets them a better ROI.
Yeah. And another service that we offer is called brand reputation management. And that is where we help them automate their responses to Google reviews. We help them automate sending out review requests and things like that, because Google really values Google reviews, of course, and if you're responding to those reviews. So the whole process automates requesting them and responding to them so that they can rank higher. And the postcards are a really good lead into that service, because then we're saying, okay, you've got 2,500 eyes on you. They might be Googling you. You want to show up in the best way that you can, and you want to make sure you have as many 5-star reviews as possible so that you rank higher and that you look really good when these customers are searching you. So it just leads into our other services naturally.
Yeah, and if they can find you off a postcard, you're building credibility. Now you're being seen in more places. Now you're easy to see your online reputation, your online visibility. So the more places that you can actually show up, the more trust you're building with that actual customer.
For your company, Big Sky Automation, then, this flyer sounds, or postcard, almost sounds like a foot in the door to these other services that you offer. Is that
That's exactly what we call it.
Okay. Yeah. It's our trust building offer. It's how we're able to provide a ton of value and to be able to connect with the business owner. It's a low investment, so they're not putting much risk, and then they understand direct mail. So it's not a new concept that we're trying to sell, but it's a great relationship starter.
Because what you described in terms of the other ads and the reviews and managing all that side, now you're into probably 4 figures a month, 1,000 and up, if business wanted you to handle that. Does that sound right?
Yeah. I mean, imagine you sending a Facebook message saying, hey, can we manage your Google reviews for $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month for Facebook ads? You're not really going to get much response. You have to build that relationship and offer them something so valuable and do such a good job at it that it leads to other things.
Not only have you not paid for that marketing piece to put your foot in the doors, you're actually getting paid to do it. You're getting your free advertising and money in your pocket.
Exactly. Free lead gen.
These cards are actually great if you have a small business and you want to you only need to fill half the card to make money, because like we said, you use $1,200 for the cost and you gross $2,400. So at that point, so say you've got your own landscaping company or a car detailing, throw your ad on there. Now you've got free advertising and lead generation for yourself, and your marketing is making you money. And you get to frame yourself as not a marketer. You're just a local business owner bringing a community together.
Yeah.
And they probably already know you at the local Chamber of Commerce or the Board of Trade, whatever it is in your community. And if you've already built that reputation, then that's one hurdle already.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And another great idea with these cards that we actually do is they're bartering chips we've gotten sponsorships at events because we've traded advertising for them. We've also put nonprofits on these cards to help them in the long run, like that, because the referrals they provide for us, they come full in return. So there's so much more than just the money you can make from these.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I just had a flashback many years ago. In fact, I think it was my first audio program I ever put out. So I'm really dating myself with this. But one of my best barter deals was this box of Alaskan king crab's legs.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I never thought of that angle, particularly for trade shows like you mentioned. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you can get really creative. The sky is the limit when it comes to anything with side hustles and business. We fully believe that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always said solving a problem isn't the issue. It's the lack of creativity. It's the lack of ideas. And so I love having conversations with this, because already I'm sparking 4 or 5 other spinoffs that we could do, that we could use with this. This is awesome. I want to loop back just for a moment for that reoccurring revenue stream. So if you're charging a single ad for $150, can I assume then you discount if somebody's running 2 or 3?
Yes. Yeah. So if they buy a multiple mailing package, we do discount or add value. We'll host a landing page for them for their offer. So we change it up throughout the year, but it's either a discount or a value add where they get something extremely valuable that we help them set up and manage. That way they participate in multiple mailings.
Yeah.
Okay. And the work's already done for you. You might want to tweak a date on a coupon or something like that, but you've already done the layout, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. We've had some people run like maybe 3 ads over the course of 6 months, but that is not that difficult to change. We usually make the ads up front and then just switch them out when that mailing comes. So it really reduces the workload.
And they're already in your system as a client. Yeah. What haven't I asked you yet that I should have that would be helpful for our side hustle community to know?
I think that just the first thing that always comes to mind when somebody asks me, what should people know about starting a side hustle or anything to do with business? It is just get started. But I can't tell you how many times like we sat in idea mode and not moving forward and not taking action. The things that we have been the most successful with are the things that we thought the least about.
So I mean, you just jumped in and did.
Exactly. Yeah. And these postcards it's one of them. So as soon as we added that into our business, the rest of it started to grow and flourish as well. Another thing that I always like to share is lead with helping. Even if that means that you don't get money in your pocket right then and there, but you walked away helping somebody, it's always going to come back. So we always have a helping mindset. That's what we lead into everything with.
Yeah. I'll kind of share a quick story about how we got started. We came to this town. We didn't know anybody. We didn't start an agency with a bunch of connections. Like, we were actually from Indiana, and then we moved to Montana, and we had jobs before we started our business. So it's not like we had this flourishing relationship to go off of. So you're probably wondering, oh man, they probably had like great people to talk to, but it's not the case. No, we started from scratch. We didn't know anybody, and we just put our heads down. We put in the work, and we ended up having to give some free spots away on the first one just to get that first card out. And then at that point, now we're able to have that physical piece that's done. You've got other local businesses in the area, and now you've got the credibility. They might get some return on it because you're helping them in the long run. But so just think a little bit outside the box. It's not always about the money and upfront, and really try to lead, like what Rachel said, helping people, because you'll get way further if your first mindset is to help them.
And if you believe in the product in terms of putting this out, running it as a side hustle, then yeah. So for that first one, you might be running at a loss, like you said, just to get it out there so people can see it.
Yeah.
You only need half the card done, so I don't even think you're running at a loss. You just might break even. Or we didn't run at a loss in our first one. We did a bigger card, but we went down to the smaller scale because it made sense for our market, but we ended up making 1,600, was still giving some free spots away. So just be creative, and you can actually make things thrive as long as you, like you said, you've got some sort of creative mind in the end.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to set a certain amount of time to allocate to growing this. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you two?
So if you want to go check out communitycardplaybook.com, we actually have a free mini course for you guys to check out, because again, we really just want to see this work for everybody. It's worked for us, and it's worked for so many others. So the biggest thing is we just want you guys to have the steps to be able to get started on this. So we put together that free mini guide for everybody to check out. That way they can get started themselves.
Fantastic. What's your best tip to inspire others to start or grow their side hustle dream?
For me, it might be different for Dalton, but the biggest thing that this has provided us is so much freedom. We have spent a lot of this year traveling and visiting family. We were out here in Montana. We've got family in Indiana and Kentucky. And then my mom actually lives in Ireland. We meet on the East Coast. So we've spent over a month traveling and visiting family. And then outside of that, we traveled to Oregon and Washington for a couple months. And this is basically just like funding all of our travels. It's putting money in our pocket. We can do this from anywhere. The life that we've built is the life that we want, not the life that our job wants us to have. So I just highly encourage everybody, if you have a dream, you want to be free from a job, get started on something like this that can put $1,000 in your pocket. You can start chipping away at your car payments, your extra bills, Christmas gifts for family.
Right.
So many things.
And this isn't the next big AI tool. This is simple, and most people, you don't need to explain direct mail to them. So that's also the better part about this strategy is it's been around forever, almost longer than I've been alive.
Yeah. Because once you've got your subscription, Canva or whatever it is that you're going to use, you know what your print costs are going to be. I'm just trying to think of what other costs that you've got. Any others that I'm missing?
No, that's really it.
The cost of delivery.
Yeah. And that's actually included in the price I mentioned earlier. So you can handle the mailing yourself, but we don't do that because it's
like that person in Ireland. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That all in, it's our print costs, our delivery costs, and the Canva costs. That's all that we need to run this business.
The other place I think I would use it is if I was into traveling like you two are, I would take a look at where else is it that I want to travel and see if that community is doing postcards, because if I'm going to be there anyway. Yes. let's see if we can make this a write-off and make some money here.
Exactly. Now you're thinking. And when we were in Oregon and Washington, we were thinking the same thing, because there was plenty of lined streets with like a bunch of local businesses. And we were driving around and we were already working on several cards for the Missoula area. We're like, if we weren't doing these, we would be walking these streets trying to sell some of these postcards while we're here.
I know when I had the delicatessen, any town that I went through, I always dropped in the deli, whether I was hungry or not, just to see what they were doing differently, good ideas that I could bring back to improve what I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting out there and learning is so important.
Did you want to jump in with anything else, Dalton?
Yeah, so if I was just to give any information of inspiration for someone, is you're going to learn a lot more by taking action and letting the problems come to you, because the only way you're going to learn is if you get a problem in front of you and you figure out how to fix it. So there have been many times where Rachel and I, just to give a little really quick story, on our first mailing, we didn't have our printer that we use lined up. So we were going to go through a program called GotPrint. And the issue that we couldn't actually use them is what goes on for each piece of mail is called an indicia. And they print it in the worst spot. You can't fix it. And it was going to lay over 4 of our ads. So we either had to redesign the card, which we didn't want to do that because it was already done and pre-formatted and everything, or find a new printer. And they were very inexpensive when we found them, but then every other competitor that we were going to go to was at least $2,000 more than we were trying to spend. So we ended up facing that problem head on, and it took a few days. We didn't panic, and we actually found somebody in the long run that was able to do it cheaper than the GotPrint people.
Wow.
And we ended up having no issues with our design, and they were super helpful. But that's where you're just going to have problems that come up, and you're going to learn. And in the long run, sometimes you may benefit where you save a little bit more money.
Yeah. I feel like every problem we've run into actually works out really good. So I'm like, oh, a problem.
That's so true, because it causes you to discover things that you didn't know before, whether that's a different printer or a different way of doing things, another methodology, especially if you're solution oriented. I know we'll get through this. I don't know how at this moment, but together we'll figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's entrepreneurship at its finest.
Thank you so much, Rachel Dalton, for introducing us on how to profit from these direct mail pieces. And I really appreciate the simplicity of it and the minimal amount of parts and pieces to put this together. And of course, thank you for being today's Side Hustle Hero.
Yeah, absolutely. This was so fun. I want you guys to go do this today and make some money.
Thank you for having us.
One of the things I really appreciate about this side hustle is how simple it is. There are very few moving parts. Your main inputs are your time, the design work on the postcard, the printing, and the mailing. And as they pointed out, that's essentially it. If your heart is in promoting your community and you enjoy connecting with people, this could be a side hustle worth looking into. After the interview, it occurred to me that I forgot to ask whether they send proofs to their clients, essentially saying, here's what your ad's going to look like, please approve it, or tell me what needs to be changed. Rachel followed up and confirmed that, yes, they absolutely do. She said, we email them with a copy of their ad and ask if they want any changes or if the ad's approved. That way we have it in writing. We make sure everything is approved before it goes out. Another point I wanted to highlight was the way that they handle discounts when someone buys multiple postcard placements. Rachel mentioned that they might offer a price break or add something of value. And the example she gave was hosting a landing page for the business's offer. I thought, okay, that's smart. They're providing something that's already within the scope of their agency, giving the business owner a taste of the additional services that they can provide. And it wouldn't cost Rachel or Dalton anything additional except their time. And finally, I want to circle back to something that they said about leading with a helping mindset, because I couldn't agree more. When you help someone without expecting anything in return, it does come back to you. But in my experience, it usually doesn't come back from the same person. It comes from somewhere completely unexpected. And keep in mind, if you're giving only because you expect something back, that's not giving, that's trading. And that's a very different dynamic. Generosity, on the other hand, has a way of widening your circle. The more you give, the more doors seem to open that you never could have forced open on your own. Well, that's a wrap for today. If our chats are sparking your entrepreneurial spirit and providing valuable insights, consider showing your support by visiting sidehustlehero.com/support. That's where you can shoot me a virtual coffee. It's a real thing and a fun way to give the show a caffeinated thumbs up. Thank you so much. In the episode description, you'll find a link to Rachel and Dalton's free masterclass and our full show notes, which live at our website, sidehustlehero.com. While there, be sure to grab a copy of my 28-page guide called Smart Start, From Idea to It's Live in 7 Steps, a beginner's guide to launching your side hustle with confidence. It's free for now, but not forever, at sidehustlehero.com.